Does D365 Business Central comes with a payroll out of the box?
Since it's targets SMBs that oftenly already either use third-party payrolls providers or maybe prefers outsourcing their payroll.
As time goes on, that it can grow
Yeah.
with the company, and you just
Yeah.
can't do that out of the box usually.
Sylogist Payroll is embedded in.
Anything you have, you can use with payroll now. But if they have no idea what their employees cost them to do that work, then they're going to fail.
GP has payroll while BC does not. So when it comes to migrating from Great Plains to the Business Central, like their question is like, how would they manage the payroll?
Why do you think it's so important to have payroll inside your ERP system?
All of these things can be automated and just happen.
Realistically, how much time can business actually save?
So always try to focus on your end results that you can then make your system happen.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dynamics Insight Podcast, your go-to space where business meets tech, and we make both super simple. I'm your host Ramita, and today's episode is going to answer a question that keeps coming up a lot lately. So, what's the real deal with Payroll Insight Dynamics 365 Business Central? So, whether you are a finance head, an HR department, or just a payroll curious, we have got something for you today. Joining me are two brilliant minds, Arish from Dynamics Square, our in-house Dynamics 365 expert, and Lee from Sylogist, who knows the payroll game inside out, especially when it comes to embedded payroll with Business Central. So welcome both of you guys, and would love for you to introduce yourselves to our audience.
Hello, everyone. So thank you for having me, Ramita. First of all, hello Lee, good to see you here. Well, I am Arish, and I am a sales professional. Currently, leads sales, marketing, and go-to-market strategies for Dynamic Square North America, specifically the US and the Canada provinces, where we focus on helping businesses adopt the right Dynamics 365 business applications and Power Platform solutions to automate your overall processes to get the most out of it in order to drive growth and efficiencies in the businesses. Apart from that, my big part is to working with the businesses using Dynamics 365 Business Central or looking to implement the solutions. Over the years, I have had a chance to work with closely with businesses across different industries, helping them understand how Dynamics 365 solutions can simplify their operations like finance, sales, inventory, production, customer relationships, all on one platform. So I'm really excited to be here on the podcast with Lee and you to discuss on this topic more.
All right.
So that's about me.
Hello, my name is Lee Parent, and I work with Sylogist. My current role is that I'm a payroll success manager. So I work with software companies that have customers that are looking for payroll. My background in this is that I have for many years been working with payroll. I have installed payroll across North America. I've even went across the seas to other countries to assemble payroll. If you can do payroll in North America, you can do payroll anywhere in the world.
Nice. Okay, so thank you so much for your introduction. Quite interesting introductions I've ever heard. Nice. Okay, so let's start with something simple. For someone who has never worked with an ERP system before or doesn't know what Sylogist Payroll is, let's break it down today. So, Arish, can you help us with a quick overview on what is Dynamics 365 Business Central in everyday language, like a layman terms, right? And then,
Yep.
Lee, maybe you can help us understand what Sylogist Payroll is and how it fits in.
Sure, Ramita. So Business Central, it's an ERP system specifically designed for SMBs, small and medium businesses. Think of it as
Mhm.
an all-in-one business tool. It helps manage and organize the core part of a business like finance, sales, purchase, inventory, customer relation, production, all in one place. So imagine you run a business and need to keep track of your money, your customers, your inventory, or maybe your employees. So instead of using a bunch of different or separate tools for each thing. Business Central combines them into one. So that's Business Central. Over to you, Lee.
All right. Yes. So what happened with us is that we're payroll within the Business Central envelope, which gives us some amazing powers. The history that I have to talk about is that back in the day, there was a product called Navision. And Navision came from Europe many, many, many years ago, 30 years ago.
Mhm.
And we were the payroll that shipped within that envelope. If you had a product CD and you had Navision, it had payroll in it, and that was us. Microsoft found their $5 billion worth of change in their couch cushions, and they bought up Navision and they turned that into the Business Central offering that we see and love today. But in the Microsoft
Hmm.
way, everything goes to app stores. So now you have an app store that has payrolls on it, but we are the payroll that was embedded in the system to start.
Okay, that's beautiful. I mean, I love that it's great how one handles your full operations and the other zooms in on the nitty-gritty of the payroll. But they still talk to each other like best friends, like no awkward copy pasting or no third party juggling. That's already sounding me like a win-win, but we just started. Yeah. So, people often assume that payroll is just cutting a paycheck, but it's way more than that. I mean, taxes, compliance, hours, adjustments, benefits like juggling flaming torches on a unicycle. So here's the $1 million question to you, Arish. Does D365 Business Central comes with a payroll out of the box? And if not, like why not? I mean,
Hmm.
Microsoft give us so much, and why not? Like, why leave this one out?
Yep. I think that's a great question, and I also had similar questions when I actually started in this space. So the short answer is no. Business Central does not include payroll out of the box. The main reason is that payroll systems can vary greatly by country due to different tax laws, regulations, and requirements. So instead of building a complex one size fits all payroll solution, Microsoft partners with specialized third party providers or ISVs like Sylogist who can offer tailored solutions or payroll integrations for specific regions or countries. So this allows businesses to choose a solution that meets their exact requirements. So, for example, Sylogist, caters US and Canadian customers, and similarly, there are ISVs who have developed payrolls for European regions or for Middle East, etc. So, I also feel it's in from the Microsoft perspective, it's about product positioning as well. Because as I mentioned previously, Dynamics 365 Business Central is designed for SMBs, small and medium businesses, not enterprise level
Hmm.
businesses. Since it's targets SMBs that oftenly already either use third party payrolls providers or maybe prefers outsourcing their payroll. Because if you
Correct.
see, payroll needs vary across the regions, industries, businesses requirements, and Microsoft choose uh, you know to focus BC on core ERP's capabilities like finance, sales, inventory, rather than build a massive globally compliant payroll engine. But at the
Hmm.
same time, this gives customers a choice actually, and flexibility to go with the payroll partner which fits for them as per their region's business requirements, instead of customizing the payroll solution one size fits all system. It doesn't mean like Microsoft does not have capabilities to build this payroll. Focus for the SMBs is always for towards the other operations instead of just payroll, because in this space SMBs like they are okay to either outsource the payrolls, or they can go with add-ons as per their business requirements. That's why
Yeah,
actually
that
Microsoft does
actually
not
makes
provide.
sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, that actually makes sense a lot, Arish. I mean, let specialists do whatever they want to do. Like
Hmm.
they know the best for us, for the
Exactly.
clients, right? And let's be honest, payroll isn't something you want to take lightly.
Hmm.
Either it works perfectly or it actually ruins someone's weekend.
Hmm.
Yep.
Right.
I,
So
I would
now, yeah.
I would add into that, I'm sorry, just to say that payroll is one of those things that evolves. When you have a
Hmm.
company first starting out and they're smaller, they're always going to have accounts payables, accounts receivables. They're going to have GLs with debits and credits, and that's going to survive for the entire life, 3,000 years later, of a company.
Hmm.
Payroll, when you're small, has some salary people, goes through hourlies. You get
Hmm.
bigger, you start having benefits and deductions and
Hmm.
policies and unions, and the whole thing changes over time. So you
Hmm.
have to leave something that's flexible, that as time goes on, that it can
Hmm.
grow
Yeah.
with the company. And you just
Yeah.
can't do that out of the box usually.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, now we know that it's not built in, which makes Sylogist Payroll kind of the hero of the story here. But there's this phrase that gets thrown around a lot, which is embedded payroll. Sounds fancy, but let's unpack it for today. And so here, my question to you, Lee, is what does it actually mean when we say Sylogist Payroll is embedded in Business Central? I mean,
All right.
how is it different from using a separate app or outsourcing the service?
All right. No, that it is. It's a key word that I always try to focus on. Everyone there in the world always talks about how their payroll is integrated with, right? Their software is integrated with this and integrated with that. It's a buzzword that's just tossed around all the time. When we're
Hmm.
talking about embedded, we're talking about something that you can intuitively know how to use because it's just like the rest of your product. It doesn't matter if you're looking at your GLs or your accounts payables or receivables or looking at projects. When you look at
Hmm.
those areas and you know how they work, and you look at payroll and you look at how it works, it's one system. It's embedded. It's the way that it is everywhere. So you can make use of that because it's embedded, it's part of your ERP or financial software, then now
Hmm.
instead of having this third party that exists somewhere that you have to ask for changes, know how to make modifications to, get data out of, everything is real, live time in your system. If your Business Central is using Power BI, if your financial Business Central system is using Excel tools that you've purchased as secondary, anything you have, you can use with payroll now, and you can reap all the benefits because it's one system. We're embedded, we're one with.
Hmm. So they're like speaking the same native language in the same room, right?
Yep, you betcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's also not like duct taping two systems together. And that's the kind of a
Yeah.
smooth experience everybody wants for the businesses and the
Mhm,
systems, right? So,
mhm,
speaking of outsourcing, let's be real. Some businesses just throw their payroll to a third party and call it a day. I don't know why,
mhm.
but is that always a smart move? So, Lee, why won't I just outsource payroll to a provider and be done with it? Like, what's the
Yeah,
benefit of keeping in-house with an
yeah.
ERP integration like this?
No, that's you make me laugh because that's the whole conversation at the start, right? When a company starts, they're small, they're lean, they're mean. They do not want to have to understand payroll. They just want to be able to pay
Hmm.
their employees and move on. So when you look at outsourced and in-house payroll, first step is that everyone usually goes to an outsource because they can just say, I want to pay my employee $5,000. But the conversation is, what is the company saving? When a company actually starts to get profitable, when they start to grow, they're always having to do their time tracking. They've got to verify employee hours. They got to verify who's working on what projects, when and where. Once you've got that, then you get into where they just said, I gave Bob $500. Now they have unions and they have benefit plans and they've got deduction scenarios. And now they're having to track information on a much more complex level just to keep their company going from day to day. Calculating
Hmm.
the payroll is the simplest thing. There's governments out there, they have regulations. Calculating the payroll is just the easy part of any payroll system. But then you look at once you've calculated that payroll, now you have all this data that you want to make use of. A company is only profitable if they're making money. But if they have
Yep.
no idea what their employees cost them to do that work, then they're going to fail. It's just that there's not going to be any success there. So when you
Okay.
look at an outsourced payroll system, when they're saying they integrate with, That's you having to go through another entity to get to your data, to verify your data, to know what's going on. And it's always going to be that process. When you have the information inside, when you have your own payroll system, then you can modify it so that you can have the data you want to collect, the benefits and deductions and union requirements you need to have, the garnishment letter that comes in. Everything is quick and easy for you to be able to do without having to go and ask and interface with another entity to help power your world.
Totally agree. I mean, I've actually heard horror stories about last minute changes and delays because the third party wasn't responsive. So
Mhm.
having more control and faster corrections is what we want in the end of the day. It sounds
Mhm.
like a big plus eventually, right?
Yep.
So uh, now, Arish, you're the
Mhm,
one on the front lines every day,
mhm,
talking to businesses in the US and Canada, making the
mhm,
switch to the Business Central. I'm sure payroll questions are always a part of those conversations. I mean,
mhm.
so what kind of payroll related concerns or questions businesses usually ask you before or even after they move to
Hmm.
Business Central?
Yeah, well, obviously, it has always been a question for businesses like how would they would manage payroll in the Dynamics 365 business solution if they migrate to it, and some more questions around that. So, majority of the time, the queries are focused on integrations, either with their current payroll partners or what add-ons pay compliance scalability etc. See, from business perspective, they are trying to ensure the system can accommodate their local regulations and specific payroll processes. One of the question is like remain always same, like why Dynamics 365, or why Microsoft does not provide out of the box solutions. So I have to explain the same scenarios like why it does not. If if so let's say if they are migrating to Dynamics 365 and they are already managing payroll in a different external solution, for example like with leading providers, either ADP, Ceridian, Paychecks, etc. So they always have a questions like what options do they have. Do they have to migrate it from that as well, or do we have an options to integrate, etc. Since it does not comes out of the box, like they ask like which add-on is the right fit for them as per their regions business requirements, and pricing is also a concern. Like so let's say if you have like 20 users or employees, you just need to go with 20 subscriptions, or if they have like 500 or 1000 employees, then the cost keeps on adding because that's a recurring cost for them. So that's one question. Another could be like, does Dynamics 365 Business Central accommodate the unique payroll requirements of different US states or Canadian provinces? Um, and one of the question is like, does Business Central offers customizable payroll reports as well for tracking labor cost, employee benefits, tax liabilities, etc. So one of the common question I could share is like, so let's say if the businesses are migrating from Navision to the Business Central, so nav customers do have an idea like nav does not have payroll as well as BC, because BC has been developed on top of Navision only, which is a latest version of nav. um,
Hmm.
and but when it comes to migrating from Dynamics GP, like Great Plains, you might have heard of. So if the businesses are looking to upgrade from Dynamics GP, so obviously Microsoft, discontinued this product back in 2018. So the GP customer have an alternative. Well, for the latest SaaS product is one of the alternative is Business Central, right? So, but if we have to look at the solutions, like GP has payroll while BC does not. So when it comes to migrating from Great Plains to the Business Central, like their question is like, how would they manage the payroll? Because they are currently managing it in the Dynamics Great Plains, but they will not have the same capability in the Business Central. So that's where we propose like add-on solutions, for example, Sylogist Payroll, which is obviously the right fit for them or right option for them to fulfill all their requirements. So these are the the very general questions when we speak to or discuss the requirements with them. So businesses always have these concerns before migrating to Business Central.
I mean, it's honestly a lot to manage, right?
Hmm.
And no wonder people want clarity before they dive into such complicated system, which is eventually very good for them
Yes,
and in a long term. Yeah.
exactly.
So let's zoom out a bit now, because you're talking payroll, yes, but we're also talking bigger picture, fancy
Hmm.
words, efficiency, automation, and control. I mean, Lee, why do you think it's so important to have payroll inside your ERP system? Like, what kind of advantages does that bring to the whole organization?
Yeah. Well, the most important thing is that employees are the greatest expense a company has. They're what drives everything. And because you have employees, your company will be successful and profitable or not, depending on any project you undertake. So having access to that information, knowing if you're actually making this happen or failing at it is critical. And if a company doesn't have that information at their fingertips, then bad things happen. Companies fold all the time. When you're looking at having payroll inside of your ERP, the benefits are is that the moment that payroll time entry happens, you can update your projects. If they're looking at their budget, seeing how much time has been spent, and we only have a $40,000 budget and we've already used up 30,000 of it, are we going to make our deadlines? They can know this information right away. So because it's within your system, everyone has access to it. You can use Power BI digital dashboards. They can just have general reporting, whatever their tools are. It's one system. Everything's in one place. That's the biggest power is tracking those labor costs.
Okay, that's actually good. It's like your payroll is no longer a task, it becomes a part of the flow, or
Mhm.
if I may say, the rhythm of your business, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a side effect because you're paying people, your GLs, your accounts payables, your projects, and your budgets are being updated because you processed payroll, HRs, and absence trackings, and employees' vacations are taken care of. Because you process payrolls, your benefits and deductions are covered. Because you process payrolls, administrators, managers, third parties are getting updates and totals they need. It just happens. It's not tasks you now have to do. It's things that are
Hmm.
being there and are powering you.
Absolutely perfect. Arish, you mentioned businesses have questions when already managing payroll using
Hmm.
providers like ADP,
Hmm.
Srigen, Paychecks, and they're
Hmm.
considering when they're considering transition to BC for ERP.
Hmm.
What options do they have, and what do you suggest as the best approach?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and these questions, come across several times, to me because you know it would not make sense to migrate them from ADP, Ceridian, or Paychecks, because if they are migrating to the Business Central for the ERP solution, so there are obviously several options to integrate these external solutions like ADP, Ceridian, or Paychecks. So I
Hmm.
give them like multiple options. One of it is like integration with the Business Central, so they can they can go with direct API integrations to just sync the data from any of these external solutions to the Business Central. So these provides APIs, and BC is obviously flexible enough to consume data from these systems. So that's one approach. Second is like there are connectors available in the markets, which we can always go with. These are pre-built connectors to bridge the gap between uh, these external solutions and the Business Central. uh, and one of the option is like which we generally have, like we propose and we have given these options to the clients, like file upload options. So
Hmm.
if a real time integration is not required, so you can always export the file from these external solutions like payroll, tax, benefits information in either in CSV or Excel formats and import it into the Business Central. using its data import functionality. So this is obviously a simple solution, though less automated methods. So if they are okay with that, so so these, like, there are several options as well. Maybe Power Automate as well, so we can make it flow the data from these solutions. But one of it is like very simple solution without investing anything, like is the file upload options.
Hmm. Lee, anything you'd add there from the Sylogist side, especially for folks making that transition from ADP or paychecks?
Well, that's always the conversation. I call it the because they're breathing benefits, right?
Mhm.
It's you have another system that needs to either interface with your payroll. Sorry, you need to have another system that's going to interface with your financials, or do you already have that system there that is just feeding your financials? So whenever they say, here's all the things you have to do to make your payroll work with your financial system, then those are
Hmm.
basically points as to why you should already have payroll inside of your Business Central.
Okay. So now paint me a picture here, Lee. Let's say I'm an HR or a finance manager. Just imagine. What does a typical payroll run look like using this embedded system?
All right. The first step is that everybody usually forgets about it, but you have to actually hire employees. That's the first step. You have to get an employee into your system. You have to have the employee web interface or app that they can go into and they can request changes to their benefits, or they can correct their last name, give their benefit information, say that I want to take vacation 3 months from now. Can you log that for me? All of that is just the first step. Once you have that, then you get into time entry. It doesn't matter what or where. That's the biggest thing that any company needs is they want to say, now that we know that we have employees, now that we know that the employee is planning on being away for 3 weeks in December, then we want to pay this person. So what's their time
Hmm.
entry? Are they saying I'm salary? Are they saying that I'm fixed hours? Are they saying that I'm actually position based and I might be salary, but I want to know that I spend so much time doing A, B, and C? Am I flat time entry that as they enter in that I spent half an hour here and 2 hours there and 4 hours there doing something? How do you know what earnings they have, which is hugely important? And that drives the
Hmm.
rest. Because we know their earnings, now you can have your GL updated in detail, because Business Central and Dimensions is an amazing feature that you can look at your GL and say, how much does Department A cost me this year to run? And we had this project. What was our cost for equipment and resources and items, and then payroll and the employee wage cost and the employee labor burden, the employer costs of the employee? All things that just side effect happen when you're doing it out of the Business Central with a payroll embedded. So you
Mhm.
have the employee time entry happen, you've got the calculation happen, and then once you've calculated that payroll and you're happy, you can do dozens of reportings. You can have automated reporting, you can have automated checks, the checklist that every payroll person goes through to make sure that people aren't working too much overtime, or people are filling positions, but their actual training or requirements to be able to fill that position are lacking. All of these things can be automated and just happen. So it's basically trying to turn it so that a person that would normally have to spend all day, every day trying to make payroll a success, and the HR team that has to be behind there to power that, to keep the employees current, to help produce a payroll, can be minimized because you're able to automate it because all the data is in one place.
Yeah, that was actually beautifully explained. That's such a nice way of the process, and I think for me as an HR, it will be less chaotic and maybe less black coffees in the midnight.
Mhm.
Okay, so Ali, how much of the process is actually automated? Like, what I mean to say is, like, do HR teams still have to get involved at multiple steps, or does the system kind of run itself then?
The system can be made to run itself fairly easily. We have companies that are 20 employees, 50 employees. There's that, I'm going to use a term of just, there's that one little old lady right in the back of the office that just runs payroll every 2 weeks. And she's perfectly fine with it taking her 3 hours to go in and calculate that payroll and produce it. Then you have the companies
Mhm.
that have thousands upon thousands of employees, and there's that one person again who's processing that entire payroll in that 1 to 2 to 3 hours. And it's just the level of automation you want to take. When you have an outsourced payroll system, they have an interface for you and you're forced to use that interface. But when you have an embedded payroll, you have the flexibility to enhance the rules to make it work with your company. So all of a sudden, instead of you having employee benefits where every employee has, this is what my benefit amount is, and when an employee changes something, or the policies of the companies change, or the benefit company sends new rates, thousands of employees have to be updated over the course of a day and a half in changes and changes and changes. But when you have an embedded system like ours, all of a sudden now you can have an employee interface for HR where the employee goes in and says, I got married, or this is my new address. And that automatically flows to payroll. And on the payroll, they just know that here's my formula, A plus B divided by C limited to this benefit equation. And you say, this is my new rate as of this date, and it just happens. So a change that in one world takes days to do, in another world is 5 minutes or less. So when we look at that, you can have a company that can have thousands of people run by one person easily just because you spent that time during the initial setup to say that this is what I need my system to do, and you have the power to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's not like about removing people. It's about giving them their time back, right?
Yep. Yep, it is. I would say, I always tell this as an analogy. I say that think of systems as board games. Okay. You have, let's say, a crossword puzzle. You've got 5 down, 3 across. What's a 4 letter word for cat? Who knows? But you're stuck in that grid. And if you can't make your system fit into their 5 down, 3 across, 7 to the left, right? Then you have to find other solutions. You're using other tools. You're getting other software now to help power you to do what you want your main system to do. With an embedded payroll, it's more like a Scrabble board. You pick up your pieces, you have your 12 pieces, you have your vowels, your consonants, and you make the words and what you want to do, and you put that down on the board. You're able to make the system do what you want it to do.
All right.
Absolutely.
So time is money, and payroll definitely takes time. If you're automating and embedding everything, surely there's some serious time savings here, as you said, Lee.
Mhm.
So realistically, how much time can business actually save each month using
Hmm.
Sylogist payroll instead of whatever manual or semi-manual processes they were using before?
Yeah. That's basically a countless array of time that you can think of there. If you do a scenario like if you have to talk to your benefit providers and you're always having to provide them with updates every month on what you're doing, all of a sudden, instead of someone having to spend 2 or 3 hours every week producing that, you can use Business Central to automatically send an email to the benefit provider or go through an API interface or do an auto upload to just give them those numbers. Payroll's processed, you send it. When you're doing your time collection, you have the ability to have the system not only collect the employee's time and all the details that a company wants, but then you can drive multiple rates of pay. You can drive department totals. The biggest savings usually is the reporting. Instead of payroll processing and then payroll madly having to update management and administration, and again, the third parties and other sources about what's happened on payroll, and they have 15 weekly reports. Now, because payroll's within Business Central, you can use the Power BI, you can use embedded reporting, you can use job entries and queues. There's an array of tools that exist that payroll just gets to use
Hmm.
at no extra cost to the customer because they're already using it for finance to just allow these things to automatically happen. And a payroll person's day is no longer filled with trying to get through all of the mundane stuff of keeping two systems synchronized. They just get to run their payroll and then go do what they're supposed to be doing, finding better ways to help the employees succeed in the company.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've covered a lot today. But before we close, let's end with the rapid fire from both of you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So this is a question to both of you. You can answer. If
Mm-hmm.
you had to give one piece of advice to a company still managing payroll manually or through the disconnected systems, what would it be? Let's give
No, I
some rest
think
to Lee.
Lee, you go ahead. I think your
Okay.
advice
Oh,
will be more valuable than mine.
My advice would be is you want to focus on your end results. The number one thing that I see companies fail at when they're trying to find payroll software for them is they get bedazzled by what a product says it can do. But at the end of the day, you're going to say that I need my managers, I need my company to be able to know this information. And if I can know this
Hmm.
information, then I can backtrack to what does it take to produce that report? What benefits, what earnings, what time entry system? What do I need to know to be able to fill that reporting? So always try to focus on your end results that you can then make your system happen.
Okay,
Yep.
the next question is,
My
would you
advice
like
would
to say
be,
something? Yeah.
yeah, I would also like to give my advice.
I
So
thought you just putting it on all to upon Lee. So I
no,
thought,
no, no.
okay,
I
Arish.
wanted him to go ahead first, because I thought it must be more valuable. But my advice would be for the businesses. I think don't wait until payroll becomes your major headache. So if you're looking at scale automations in overall processes, don't leave payroll behind, right? So just automate it now
Hmm.
before the pain grows for them.
Thank
Yep.
you so much for this
Hmm,
answer. Yeah.
hmm. No
Okay.
worries.
Every growing business eventually faces the we have outgrown our payroll processes moment. So, how scalable is Sylogist payroll? Like, if supposedly if a company grows from 50 to 500 employees, can the system grow with them without needing a total overhaul?
The answer is yes. That's the short answer. Whenever you look at a payroll system, you're looking at milestones that have been reached. When you have a smaller company, everyone knows everybody else. Everyone's just getting paid their salary or just X number of hours worked. As a company reaches their next milestone, then they start having to have it where you don't have time to be that water cooler talk with everybody. So now everyone's busy and you only hear about the issues. So if an employee only hears about the 5 things they've done wrong every week, then they're not going to be happy. So then HR is born. So now you start getting
Hmm.
into HRs and employee reviews and benefit plans to help entice employees to stay. And as you go through each layer, you get more and more complicated. So the only difference between a 50 employee company and a 5,000 employee company is that there is going to be more automation to handle those extra options that employees have. But at the end of the day, it's all still an employee getting a paycheck. It's just what goes into producing the individual items on a paycheck.
So it's not just a short-term fix; it's actually grows with you.
Yep, it grows
Yep.
with you. It's
Mhm.
expected to. You're not expecting a company to stay at 50 employees for the next 30 years.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Arish, I'm
Mhm,
not letting you go without sharing a success story. It's like a ritual, Lee,
mm,
with me and Arish, that in our last podcast also we were all the time discussing the real case studies
mm.
on the CRM basis. So this time also, I want you to go in a storytelling mode for a second and show me a real example, share me a real example, of course not
Mm,
taking any clients names, but
mhm,
who actually saw real transformation in their payroll processes
mm.
after adopting this solution. So what changed for them?
Sure, Ramita. So, I can share one, maybe, so one of our customer based out of the East Coast who is in the distribution business. So was looking to implement Dynamics 365 Business Central. So they were moving away from Navision. Obviously, they were not migrating their older Navision. They were just looking to re-implement the solution as a vanilla. Since we were already, we already informed them that they either must either have to integrate their current payrolls solutions, the external one they were already using, or must go with add-ons like Sylogist, which was our the recommendations. So
Hmm.
which obviously integrates seamlessly within Business Central, as Lee just explained it. So when
Yep.
business plans these transitions to the latest ERP solutions or SaaS, so they prefers automating most of the processes in a single solution and payroll is one of it, right? So by going with this embedded payroll Sylogist payroll into the Dynamics 365 Business Central, the companies, I think so. We have had a feedback call after a couple of months later. Once the implementation was completed. So what's the ROI benefits they are seeing in the overall processes, and so we discussed about the payroll as well. So what we have the feedback we received is like they see improved efficiency overall and the time savings as well, because all these automations which Dynamics 365 and payroll Sylogist provides leads to fewer errors and real time data access as well, so they don't have to rely on multiple applications, different screens. So since there is a single source of truth, so everything is in one place, it then knows what's happening in the real time. And if they see like anything is going wrong in the wrong direction, so they can make decisions right away instead of seeing these changes by the end of every financial years. Second is what they have seen is like the cost saving as well, which is obviously in terms of labor cost efficiencies, like reduction in time spent by HR, finance, or on these manual tasks. So everything, most of these things are automated. Uh, it also helped them improving the data insights as well. So all the important data sets are available at a single click, so they can see what's happening with the businesses. And obviously employee satisfaction as well. So if since obviously employees will also have access to these to this Sylogist payroll, so they can
Correct.
see about their all the activities, times, and the leaves, etc. So it helps them actually with the employee satisfaction, because they can access this application from anywhere, any point of time. So overall, SMBs, if they are considering to go with Business Central and they are looking for payroll options, so I think they could expect the ROI within first year of their operations, and they can get back whatever they will spend on this implementation.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
I totally believe that. And it's basically a full, huge transformation for that business, and like a glow up to their operations. And that's a kind of a success story everyone would love to hear. So thank you, Arish, for sharing one.
Yep.
And well, that was one payroll packed episode for today. And who knew something so traditionally boring could actually be this interesting when we have got the right people breaking it down? All thanks to, and a big thanks to Lee and Arish, who actually walked us through how Sylogist Payroll truly simplifies payroll within Business Central. And to Arish for showing us how the whole systems comes together with the RP side. So
Mhm.
honestly, it's clear that payroll doesn't have to be painful. With the right integrations like Sylogist Payroll inside Dynamics 365 Business Central, you get automation, you can get compliance and clarity all in one place. So, Lee, just before we wrap up, if someone listening wants to explore Sylogist Payroll for a bit more or get in touch with the team, where should they head?
Right. Well, you can always go to our sylogist.com website and you can get in there and you can go talk to a person and you can get in contact with us there. You can always reach out to any of our staff that are more than willing to help. For myself, it's Lee Parent at sylogist.com. So just send us a note.
Thank you
They
so
can
much for
always
that.
reach out to Dynamic Square as well, and Dynamic Square will help
Of
them
course.
connecting with Lee and team.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, to everyone tuning in, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow Dynamics Insight podcast for more business smart, tech easy conversations. We're also on Spotify, so take us with you on your next coffee break or a commute. Until next time, let's stay curious, be more efficient, and maybe even enjoy payroll a little. Thank you, everybody.
Sure. Thank you, Ramita.